Can I trust a God who would suffer for me? It's as good a place I've found to land in seasons of suffering or in seasons of grief or loss or pain or disappointment. On one hand, I hold the fact that my God, the God I worship, has suffered and knows suffering. And in Jesus' suffering, we do see purposeful suffering, and we do see, like, you know, what was meant for evil turned for good, and which I think is a really helpful one to apply to your suffering, even if you don't know where your suffering has come from or why you're suffering. Looking and being like, okay, but you know a God who can turn what's meant for evil into good. Yeah. So, okay, Lord, how will you be glorified in this? Or what?
Hi, how are you doing today?
Good. Is this the start?
Yeah, kind of. It's good. It's
good.
Yeah.
How are you, Tinu?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, yeah, good.
Yeah, it feels great doing this with you today.
Yeah, this is fun.
Okay, hopefully. So guys, welcome to another episode of Everyday Echoes, and I'm here with the great Laura. She's the best, so I'm sure you guys would have so much fun on this episode watching.
We'll see. We'll see.
So what exciting thing have you been up to this week?
Oh, what exciting thing have I been up to this week? This week has been, it's been a pretty normal week. I was at YA.
Oh yeah.
I was at Young Adults on Monday night. That was exciting.
Yeah, I kind of messed up with the slides.
I saw you then. Tunu spoiled one of my, like, it wasn't really a joke, it was just a little icebreaker, but there was an early reveal. But no, you're good at slides. You're
thank
good. You know, believe in yourself, back yourself, you're good. Yeah, that was maybe the most exciting thing. I'm trying to think if I've got any fun plans even coming up this week. No, it's been a good week, but I've been here a lot. We're in the church, so.
Yeah,
I've been here. It's good.
How does it feel being a pastor, like a day to day?
How does it feel?
Just
day to day.
Yeah, it's like waking up and you're like, oh, I'm a pastor today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm forever surprised. But I guess now, I don't know, I've done this a while. I can't really remember. I almost can't remember life before it.
How was your first day at the job?
How was my first day?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can remember my job interview quite clearly. And I remember one thing like etched in my memory is that our senior pastor, Brian, so he was part of the panel. Yeah. And on the way out, I think he went to shake my hand. Yeah. But I didn't notice. Yeah. I didn't realize until like I didn't shake his hand. Oh. And then the door closed and I walked away and I was just like, no! I didn't shake his hand. But yeah, so that was my interview. And then my first day, I remember Duncan Roseweir was here. Duncan was like my colleague back then as well. And he gave me a good welcome, you know.
That's good.
We had a staff lunch, we ate outside, and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna like it here.
Did you like sleep, like if you're starting a new job, sometimes you're waking up in the middle of the night, you're like, God, what
nervous about it? Yeah. It was my first job though.
Oh, wow.
Like my first real adult job ever to work here.
Was being a pastor?
Yeah, well, at that point I wasn't called a pastor. My first job here was youth arts worker. Oh, so
that's like Emma's job. Oh.
Kind of, but no, it was more like youth work related than young adults, and it was to do like performing arts kind of outreaches with young people. So I wouldn't have said I was a pastor, and I didn't really know I was being employed to be a pastor until I was a little while into it. But yeah, it was my first proper job. I was 25. I just turned 25. How old are you?
25. That was my age. Oh my God.
Well, I was your age when I started.
I was like, I feel bad.
Can you hear the call, Tunu? Do you feel like the Lord's calling you?
I don't know yet.
Okay, we'll see. It might wait, but I became lead pastor when I was 27, so maybe it'll be 27 for you. We'll see.
We'll see.
Okay,
we'll see.
See what God does.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about Easter?
My favorite part about Easter? Do I give my like serious answer or my human answer?
Human answer.
Okay. I know I'll give you the right answer in a bit, right? Okay, because I love Easter, I really do. But my like silly answer is Easter confectionery, the chocolate selection. Yeah, I'm obsessed. Easter eggs. Yeah. Easter bunnies, small eggs, large eggs. They come in every size, shape. It's incredible. So did you grow up with getting lots of Easter eggs?
No, we grew up with like just eating a lot of chicken during and stuff. So it's like the chicken, the eggs. It was like, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like different. It was when I got, and like seeing cartoons, about Easter eggs. But I'm like, okay, like.
It's a big thing. And I swear it's who knew they've got smaller. Like when I don't know whether we just grew up and we get bigger and then we think they've got smaller. But when I was younger, I would have got quite a lot of Easter eggs, and I swear they were bigger. I've made it a recent quest in recent years to try to find like the heaviest for price Easter egg that's out there. And I was in a big shop the other day.
Like chocolate egg or like real
chocolate egg? Chocolate egg.
I thought it was like real ostrich eggs.
No, not real eggs. They're made of chocolate. Even better than real eggs. But yeah, I was in a big Asda the other day, and I feel like I found the one that is, it was 440 grams.
Wow.
I think it was a Galaxy Ripple egg. So if anyone's on the look for the biggest Easter egg in a supermarket that you can buy this year, I think it's about £12. That's the biggest I've found. If anyone finds any bigger, if you find bigger than 440 grams, you gotta let me know.
I'll let you know.
That's my
I don't think I'll be
thing.
looking for it.
I'll get you an Easter egg.
Oh, thank you.
You gotta be like broken into the Easter egg thing.
Yeah, they gave me one at work last year. Then my manager was like, "Oh, I got you guys some Easter eggs." I'm like, guys.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was good. Actually, at work, it was like good chocolate.
It tastes better than normal chocolate. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's really good.
But it just tastes better in that shape. But yeah.
It's so good.
So that's not my serious answer.
Okay, what's your serious answer?
Which way do we want to go first?
I don't know. Just lead the way.
What's your favorite thing about Easter? Well, I think Easter is my favorite like Christian moment of the year.
Yeah.
For sure. Which may sound really obvious because it's like Jesus is alive. Shouldn't that be all of our favorite moments of the year? I don't know. But some people are really into Christmas. I do love Christmas. But I think Easter is just like, I think Easter's even better than Christmas. Because I feel like with Christmas, you get like, okay, there's hope. Okay, it's dark, it's cold. Yeah. There's like light in the darkness hope with Christmas. Yeah. And it's like something has started, something's planted. There's like a seed of hope. And that kind of like embeds in you in that season, and you're like, yeah, there's hope, there's light in the darkness. But then with Easter, I just think Easter, even in the space of just a weekend, you get such a complete story of like not only like light in the darkness, like a light that would kind of lead you through the darkness, but the Easter weekend is like light overcoming the dark, like light over, like victory over darkness, death to life, like both extremes all in one weekend. And I just think it's epic the way in those 3 days, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just the story you get and what that then means for your life. I can't really imagine now living without the hope of Easter. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Like if we just had, Christmas without Easter,
it would make sense.
It would make sense because it would just be like, a great guy he came. He came and then died. I don't know. Like, what good is that? Yeah, totally. Like what was achieved? It would be like, okay, maybe there was a great moral teacher that was born. Yeah. Wonderful. Like we don't even celebrate Christmas at exactly the right time. So like it would just feel a bit pointless. But when you know the realities of Easter, that's what makes Christmas so good. So yeah, I love Easter.
Yeah, I do love Easter so much. It's the best part of the year. Also, it's that moment where you just sit down and you're like, oh, thank you for dying for me. It's like you went through all this. Because back in primary school, we used to act the stories of Easter in dramas. Okay. So that's the way we celebrate. I went to a Catholic primary school. So it was, there's a script for us. And there was a time I had to be one of the people beating Jesus. So someone was, so like, I still live with that memory, like the turns on his head. I'm just like, oh my God. Yeah. And we're actually beating the guy.
Wow. I mean, I don't know that we would get that through like safeguarding rules.
Yeah, I was just like,
my goodness, that's an idea. Yeah. Have you seen The Passion of the Christ?
Yeah, I've seen The Passion of the Christ.
I have not, actually. I've not. I think because I maybe was young when it was released. It maybe was released when I was a child. too young to technically watch it, and then I've never gone back and watched it.
Oh,
but
I watched it.
Did you find it like helpfully impactful?
Yeah, it made me more emotional.
Okay.
But the thing was that reading the Bible itself and like the experience I had, like being in that story, not just watching it, made me understand how impactful what Jesus did was. It was just like, it was a lot. Like, it didn't do anything wrong. And it was just still thinking about me. And it makes me understand how special I am in God's eyes. It's like, oh, I'm the apple of God's eye. I'm like, it went through all this. And today I was just reading Revelations in which John was crying that all would open the scroll. And the elders was like, oh, cry no more, the Lamb of God. I'm just like, God.
Yeah. And that's what Easter, again, it's like that, what happened in Easter, like that center point of, I don't know, people will say different, you know, in the story of the Bible, people will say different points are like the center of the story. But I think for us, like as Christians, we will always come back to what Jesus did on the cross and then the fact that he's raised from the dead. Like that is the center of our story. And when you read the whole of Scripture in light of the cross and with the knowledge that we have of the hope we have in Jesus because of the cross, and it's like books like Revelation. You read with a totally different perspective because you're just like, this is why we have this hope. Is because God fulfills everything he sets out to do. So I can read that book and I can read about the great future day when all the tears are wiped away. And I know and I can trust that this is actually going to happen because of what I believe happened that weekend. Like if Jesus wasn't raised from the dead, you wouldn't read that with hope in the same way at all.
Like, oh, he came, he died, he didn't conquer.
No, I know. It would just be, because so many people, that happened to so many people, will have died on a cross at the hands of the Roman Empire at that point. Like, it just would be one more man to die.
And it makes like the Christian religion make much sense to me. It's like every other religion expects the people to die for their God. But our God died for us. I'm like, that's such like a height of love that cannot be described.
Yeah, it blows my mind. And I've been in Ezekiel for Scotland Bible School recently. So I think it's Ezekiel 34, but I don't know. But we can check. Someone can check that. Where it talks about, you know, bad shepherds. And they kind of sacrifice the sheep. For themselves. To save themselves. And God at that point in history saying through Ezekiel, I myself will be the shepherd. Like I will come and be the shepherd. And you read that like however many years before Jesus is going to come. And that's no other gods do that. No other gods say, I'll come do it. You know, you've done a bad job at this. Like these leaders who were meant to lead you and care for you have actually been like abusive and exploitative, and the bad earthly leaders have failed. So actually I'm going to be the good shepherd. And then you have Jesus come and be the good shepherd who not only it's not die for me people to earn your way in. It's I'm going to die for you. That again with Easter, it's like without Easter, we don't have that fulfillment of the idea of like God being that suffering God for us.
And like also looking at the story where it was with like the Pilate and they were asking, should I release to you Barabbas or like Jesus, the King of the Jews? The first time I saw Jesus take another person's place was at that point where the other thief was released. And also on the cross, that guy was the luckiest man I've known. Nothing. It just had to be so nice. The other guy was complaining about Jesus. Then he was like, "Oh, shut up! Like at least we are paying for our sins, but this guy's innocent." And he said something else. It was like, "Oh, remember me in your kingdom." And Jesus was like, "Tonight." I'm like, bro, this guy is just so lucky.
And that's the like incredibly open invitation of Jesus, right? Where it's like
you're never too late and you're never too early.
It's just audacious grace. Like you'll get the same at the end of the day as you would at the start, and that's just because he'll open the door through it, because he is the door, right? True. That wide open door, and yet he's the only door. But it is a wide open door.
Do you think this is just we've got a lot out of my questions, but it's good. Do you think everything is true, and do you think we only have one truth? Like talking about like true and truth. It's like saying Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. But people believe there are many truths. But like, do you feel there's just one truth, and that's like a lot of things could be true based on people's perspective, but we only have like one truth, which is Jesus being like the way, the truth, and the life. But some people might also feel that Jesus is not the way as their truth.
Yeah, I don't think we can decide what is true.
Yeah.
Based off what we want to be true.
Yeah.
I think lots of things are true, but I think that word has to mean something about like the reality of something.
Yeah.
And honestly, abstract things like truth and non-truth, like those things kind of like melt in my head. Like it's just not the way my brain naturally works.
Yeah.
But what I have found really helpful is to think of like, okay, I used to not really think much about the fact that God created everything. Like it didn't feel like that important an aspect of who he was to me, which may sound crazy to some people, but I was kind of like, yeah, like sure, like the Bible says he created everything, like
that's cool.
That's what we'll hold to. But I think in recent years I've been more like, no, I need to believe if he created everything, then if he is the source of all life, that helps me come to a better understanding of why he can define like truth. Like truth is found in the origin. Truth is found in the creator. Truth about like how I know what's true about who I am is from the one who made me. Like that makes sense to me. And it's almost hard to articulate it, and yet that does just make sense to me. But with Jesus saying, I am the way, the truth, and the life. The truth bit is probably the bit that I find hardest to like put I would find hardest to sum that up in a nutshell, because with the way, you're like, okay, I can see the way, because it's like the way to God, the door, the opening, here's the gate, like come on in. Although I'm sure there's a richer way to understand that as well. Like I'm the way, and then the life. I know so much about God through the Old Testament. He is wanting his people to have life, and he's the giver of life. He's the origin of life. He's wanting to lead people into life. Jesus is saying to these people, like, I am the way to life. I'm the way to eternal life. I'm the way to life with God. But yeah, what do you think about the truth aspect? Jesus being the truth.
Yeah, like
with a capital T. What does that mean?
For me, like when I think about it, I feel like a lot of things can be true at the same time. Looking at from different perspectives. Like for instance, if I'm seeing a very big building just right in front of me, standing on the ground, it's big. But when I'm in an aeroplane, I climb so high, it looks so small. So I and the person can say, oh, I'm seeing a big building, but I'm telling the person I'm seeing a small building. So we could have like a lot of truths, like because of people's perspectives. And it's normal because people grow up with different experiences. But I feel we can only have one truth, as you've said, like, talking about the creator, the origin itself, going back to the origin. So it just stops the confusion, because a lot of people can keep saying a lot of things. I'm just like, the best person to know about a product is the manufacturer.
Totally.
So if the manufacturer of the old earth says this is the way, definitely this is the way.
And I think there's a real comfort in being like, there is a God, there is a divine being who made everything, and therefore gets to actually prescribe the right way for things to be, the way to life. Because with human understanding, like you said, it's like not only do you have an abundance of different perspectives, but we read in the Bible, like, don't lean on your own understanding. Like,
true.
Some of us will have great ideas, some of us will have good perspectives, some of us will have really broken perspectives, some of us won't see things rightly at all. And we can put so much trust in the human perspective, and we see all around our world how that, like, where that lands. I think in this, sometimes in the West, we have such a narrow view of like our own. We think our way of thinking is just the way of thinking, and then you kind of look out a little and you're like, wait, everyone thinks their way of thinking is the right way of thinking, and how on earth would anyone get to tell anyone else what was right and wrong, even culturally? And then so I'm thankful to have a biblical worldview at the end of the day, because I'm like, I don't know, without that, like, who gets to decide? I don't know. I wouldn't want to have to decide for anyone what was true. So yeah, I'm thankful for it. But again, even things like Easter and things like the cross, it's like, I don't think I would want, I'm like, okay, filter. Would I want, if I didn't believe Jesus was raised from the dead, that I probably wouldn't be going to a biblical worldview. I wouldn't be you wouldn't be a Christian, right?
Yeah.
That's like the core of our faith.
That's it.
We have to believe in that at the core of our faith, or it's a lie.
Yeah.
It's not the truth.
It's like people stole Jesus from the grave.
if people stole his body from the grave, then it's a lie.
Yeah, it's a lie.
And Paul would say we're to be most pitied.
Yeah.
So Christians are kind of wild, because we're like hinging our whole view, like so much of our lives, on this weekend, this Easter moment.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And kind of awesome.
It's awesome because also, like, in Acts it says, Jesus made himself known by infallible proofs, like over the course of after his resurrection. So I love the fact that Jesus didn't just rise, but he was making himself known to people. So it was meeting with people, and even Thomas that was doubting. And unlucky for my dad is named Thomas.
Oh no.
So that's
a beautiful moment though. Yeah. That's a beautiful Thomas, that's redeemed. Like, that's a beautiful moment. We've all got a bit of Thomas in us, right? And
that was so funny. It was like, man, I have to touch it. I have to see it. I have to touch it. Before I'll believe it. And that's like where a lot of people actually stand. It's like, everything people are saying is just unbelievable. Like, it doesn't make sense to their ears. So they need that Jesus moment of, wow, this is so real.
Yeah, and he does that.
Yeah.
In his goodness to us. Like, I think we would like it to look certain ways at certain times. Yeah. Sometimes I remember being like young and praying to God and kind of being like, God, if you're real, Jesus, just like walk into my room, like take on human form and like come into my room, because I just wanted his help in a really like tangible way. Like I just wanted his presence in a really tangible way. But I think even Easter, again, like coming back to that, it kind of, he is the God who has done that.
Yeah.
He has taken on flesh. He has come into our brokenness. He understands our weakness. He understands our pain. He understands everything we could ever go through. And then he is good in his amazing grace. Like, he's not just living and in theory alive. Yeah. Like, we can actually incredibly like know his power in our day-to-day lives. And that's the thing that I think now that I'm older, that's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, I don't just believe that Jesus is alive because I believe the tomb was empty and that the evidence is compelling, which I do think it is.
Yeah.
I believe Jesus is alive because I believe the Spirit of Jesus is active in my life.
Yeah.
And when I pray in the name of Jesus, I see things happen. And he has to be alive for that to work.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, where's that power coming from?
Yeah. True.
It doesn't make sense. So, I think Easter being like, okay, not only, it's not, I think at one point in my life, maybe it would have just been like, okay, we're Christians, we believe Jesus is alive. Whereas now I'm like, no, I believe he's alive, I see that he's alive.
Yeah.
And Easter is an amazing reminder to come back to that place of like, it's not just resurrection hope someday, but he is the resurrection and the life, and he's alive now.
Yeah.
So like, how does that impact every day of my life that he's alive?
Yeah.
It's not just future hope.
Yeah.
Although it is future hope, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But it's like, I am the resurrection and the life. It's like today hope as well. So yeah, I don't know how we got there. I feel like we went in the...
it's good. Okay. That's good. So I was just like, like the plan was just to have a bit of introduction, but it seems like we went so deep so far.
Which was straight in.
Which is good. What was your biggest dream as a child? Did you see yourself in a kind of church setting? Or I saw something you posted on TikTok.
Yeah.
So I was like, as I was coming here, I was like, oh, okay, I'll ask about that.
No. I did not aspire to this. But it's great. It's great. I love it. But no, it was not the dream. I first wanted to be a pop star.
Wow.
That was the aspiration. That was the dream. And then when I got a little bit more realistic, I thought maybe I would be a drama teacher.
Why?
So I loved drama, and both my parents were teachers. Uh-huh. So I think you see what you see, right? And you kind of form yourself off what you see. So that was kind of the career that was before me, and it was quite academic. I liked to study. I came to the University of Glasgow to study English literature and theatre studies because I was good at English at school, theatre studies, great, but you got to have the English because you have to be employable. So my dad would have been like, okay, study something you can teach. But then I picked up a bit of theology on the side. At the University of Glasgow, I was a Christian, but I still kind of thought I would probably end up teaching someday. I didn't really know what I would end up doing. And then when I was graduating, I did a research master's, because I thought I would just keep studying, because I was good at studying. I'd cracked the studying thing. I was like, okay, maybe I'll do a PhD. And it's funny now to think, because I was kind of on a track in the theology department. To just get really, studying is amazing and academia is amazing, and I have so much respect for people who do that. But I think for me at that point, with the subject I was looking at, it just would have been so weird to be so theoretical around these subjects that really are such like practical theology subjects. So I was just very much in my head and could have just studied. But yeah, the Lord really like interrupted me in that and called me. I didn't really know how to hear God's voice at this point, but I just felt a real a real strong sense that I had to go out to some friends I had in northern Canada and do a bit of a year out and go and do some youth work over there with them and some like Bible camp work with them for a year. And I remember being in Rehope. Actually, I'd only probably been in Rehope about a year just as a student, and I heard Brian teach on something to do. I think he wasn't even teaching on idolatry, but he started talking about idolatry, and he basically said, anything we say yes to above Jesus is idolatry. And I had all these reasons why I didn't want to go to Canada in my heart, even though I really felt like I should, and I felt like that pull from the Lord. And at that point, like sitting in Rehope, I was like, oh no, like I need to go. I need to obey the Lord. So I went, and then when I came home to Glasgow, like the whole time I was there, I was homesick for Glasgow, not Belfast, where I'm from, although I love Belfast. But I was homesick for Glasgow. Again, I didn't really know how to hear God's voice at that point. I didn't know that I was hearing his voice. But I applied. I saw a job come up. This is like me trying to be succinct. But I saw a job come up with Rehope Church for this youth arts worker job. And at that point in my life, I just was kind of like, okay, I'm not going to go straight into like studying for a PhD. This is a job that kind of ticks the boxes in terms of like what my experience is in and what I could maybe do. I didn't honestly think I would get it.
You just tried.
But I was like, I'll just try. It's a job, it's in Glasgow. Mainly, honestly, I loved Rehope Church, but I was kind of like starstruck by the people. I didn't really know anybody very well. I was just a bit like starstruck by the church. I loved the church. I had a real like heart attachment to the church, but didn't really know anyone super well. But then just kind of thought like, oh, maybe I could do that job. I don't know, but it's a job, it's paid, it's in Glasgow. It would get me home where I want to be. But then, I applied for the job and got the job. So then I was here, and I was kind of surprised to myself. I was in a ministry role in a church. They put me through a prayer course. Was it a prayer course at the time? Yeah, I think it was called the prayer course. And it was lots of it. It started with just lots about hearing God's voice. And that whole thing just kind of changed my life forever. Wow. Doing the prayer course, learning to hear God's voice is probably the most, beyond giving my life to Jesus. Beyond like rededicating my life to Jesus when I was 17. Doing the prayer course, learning how to hear God's voice has probably been the most impactful thing I've ever done, or that God's ever brought me into, because it was like my faith went from like black and white to like technicolor, like just in learning to hear his voice. And I feel like he did that because then he was gonna, a couple of years later, I was gonna go through a few months of like a real tug of war season where he was pulling me into this job that I'm in now, which was never my plan. But I needed to be able to hear his voice if I was ever going to say yes to it. And I don't know, if you can kind of imagine yourself in my position at SUNY. I guess I'd grown up, I'd never seen a woman pastor before. My church at home was really like super supportive of women. But we had like a man minister. I didn't know any women doing this kind of thing. I had no box for it in my mind. I kind of felt like women went off and were missionaries. And that's where they did stuff. And I don't know, I had lots of like hang-ups in my mind about what on earth this would be like what, I had loads of fears around it, and I hadn't gone to seminary, I hadn't gone to Bible college, like, so I just had so much fear, baggage from my upbringing, and just things where I was like, this is crazy and I can't believe that God would do this. So it really did take a move of God in my life, a lot of listening, a lot of like a tug of war on the inside, a lot of like good counsel from people, and then a prayer and fasting week just to have the courage to say yes. And then that's how I ended up doing it. Wow. And then that's been me ever since. So the pop star dream has not yet.
If you had a pop star name, what would you have loved it to be?
Oh, if I had a pop star name?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I think I would have liked to have been in a girl band.
Oh, okay.
It would have depended, but I grew up watching like X Factor, Pop Stars, Pop Stars The Rivals, all these things. So that was like, that was the thing. What would your pop star name be?
No, I didn't grow up like in pop star bands.
But would you like to be a pop star now?
No. I hadn't fancied it. I felt like they were too active. I'm just like, guys, no.
Did you have like a crazy job you wanted to do when you were way younger? Like astronaut vibes, like something?
No, I didn't have all those wild thoughts of being an astronaut. I just wanted to like be an aeronautic engineer as a child, but I ended up studying civil engineering. Yeah, like, which is like a broader kind of engineering that covers everything. But I just wanted to impact people and just like help people out. That was just like wherever I found myself. And I just wanted to be wealthy enough to help people.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, it's
and
like,
that is what you do.
Yeah, that's like kind of what God has helped me to do over time. But I'm just like, it's like having dreams. As I tell my niece and nephews, I'm like, guys, just dream. You can be anything. They're like, uncle, for real? I'm like, yeah.
And then with like life with God, it's like you're not going to be bored.
Yeah, you're not going to
it's unlikely. I suppose you have to submit to that. If you're bored, it's okay. But
because the challenges make you very active, you're like...
Yeah, I have always found that God's always kept me just uncomfortable enough.
Yeah, you can't be bored.
I'm never bored, and I've never got to a point of feeling like I know what I'm doing, that I don't need him.
Yes.
Which maybe for my personality mix and who I am as a person, I think that's where he needed to have me. Because my natural drive would just be like, get really good at a thing.
Yeah.
Only do what I'm good at would be my natural preference. But then he just put me into something that I had no ability to do without his help. Yeah. And I don't know, if anyone's out there and they're working in ministry and they kind of feel like they've mastered it, they could get in touch and let me know how
probably write a book.
How that goes. But there's just always something new to learn. And I feel like the more you learn about the Lord, it's like you do learn more about the Lord and you do grow in knowledge, but you also just learn how much you don't know.
True.
You just uncover more. It's like opening more doors to more mysteries and more like the riches of who he is.
Yeah.
That on one hand, I'm like, okay, Lord, there's just more of you to know. And then I'm also like, okay, there's just more of my own brokenness to come to terms with and bring to you. Yeah. Like, I don't know why the Christian walk isn't like a linear improvement chart, But
some people like say it's like a stock chart, up, down. You go up, down.
Or it's just like it's everything's a wee bit backwards in the kingdom of God, right? Where it's like you get like pruned to grow. Exactly. So then sometimes it's also like the Lord will like prune us or like test us, or he's growing us in one thing or the other. There'll be seasons of like abundance and blessing, what feels like, okay, this is good, this is wonderful, and then there'll be times where actually you're going to be closer to the Lord and in a better place with him, but it's actually a season of suffering.
Yeah.
Because that's what that's what he's working in your life or whatever. So it's like, it's a mystery to me, but it's a wild ride.
Yeah, I feel it's kind of sometimes really good, but if you're in the process, you might not enjoy it really much.
Yes.
Because it's like, for instance, God is giving you it's showing you, this is what I want you to do in the next phase of your life. Yeah. And you're like, God, I'm already like in this part. Don't you mind just let's go the easy way route and just make things easy. It doesn't have to be so hard. Yeah. But God wants that dependence absolutely on him, not just on the people or on your ability certainty, but him throwing you into the unknown, and it's just like, trust me, I cannot mismanage your life.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, God. And a lot of times we want to be able to predict the outcome.
Yeah.
We are scared of like the unpredictable outcomes. Like, what if it goes wrong? What if this happens? What if this happens? And I'm like, God, just
totally.
Make it nice.
I know. He definitely doesn't often seem to be the God of the easy way round. And the thing what you said there of like, he wants you to trust him, right? Like that's his primary objective is the relational intimacy. And it even makes me think of where is it in Exodus, where it's like they could have where like Moses is leading the people out, and it's like if they'd gone this route, it would have taken 40 days or whatever, and it's like, but in case they encountered enemies on the way, then
and they decide to run back to Egypt.
So God took them on the longer route, and you're just like,
oh God, wow, like, I respect you, Lord.
He'll do it, you know, like I wonder someday, I'm like, oh Lord, someday when we like look back on my life together, you know, you can show me where you had to take me the harder road for the sake of my like dependence and my trust and what you wanted to grow in me, that actually there's a greater goal than my ease. You know, I think without knowing God, like, and who he is and what he's up to in our lives, I think naturally you would want your life to just be as easy and happy and comfortable as possible. Like, of course you would, like anyone would. But when you know him and you're like, oh no, wait, there's like something deeper here that he wants from my life. Then suddenly you're like, oh wait, this maybe has more purpose. Even though it's uncomfortable or long or whatever. But
like I once had a friend share one time, it was like a lot of us, we act like thieves in the kingdom. It's like, oh, we take God's life, that's the Zoe life, like, oh, we receive the life of God in us, but we're not ready to lay our lives down. So it says only armed robbers do that. Wanted to take one thing and also keep their thing. It's like you can't have both. You have to like drop one. So it's like, oh, you're picking up one and you're dropping the other. So once you're just receiving the life, you're just knowing that, oh, you're not part of the kingdom, and that's why he calls us kings and priests.
And even I mean, Easter again though, like, it's like, it's not only Jesus died and then is raised to life, but it's like that invitation to a cross-shaped life, like really following Jesus. And I find this so challenging, but it is to do as he did. It's to die to yourself and to your own dreams and ambitions, in a way, not in a like God doesn't care about those things or whatever, but just an old self has to go.
Exactly.
And sometimes there's a daily need to like put things on the cross, you know, again, and like let them die and then step into that new life. But
but I also feel it's like really good because it's like an a higher purpose in which you're seeing things just in your own direction, but God is saying, oh, like there's more to your life than this. Some people just want to probably just have a 9-to-5 job, have a car, have 2 kids, which is good. It's a very good thing, guys. I'm sorry, but it's good. But God wants more for us than just that. He didn't just create you for that. He created you for more, to achieve more and to do more for his purpose. So like a lot of people just want to stay in that bubble. It's like God wants to use you, but you're like, God, please don't send me to Afghanistan.
But it's you're right. Like I think people do want to, there's like an expectation of what life is, right?
Exactly.
And how to create that. And I think that's okay when things are going well. But even sometimes when things are going well, I wonder if there is a lack of satisfaction, like a sense of, okay, there's got to be something more
than this.
And then when things are going badly or when people are suffering, it's much harder to hold on to that as being like the only thing that life is for.
But how would you advise people to like surrender, like finding surrender in God if they are holding on to like ambition or their thoughts or their desires, and they're like, oh, I can't let this go? Or it could be someone in their life and God is like, oh, you have to like let this person go so there can be clarity, or just let things go. What would you advise them to do?
It's a big question, Atunu. Living a life of surrender. I think to surrender, to set anything down before the Lord, I think you have to have a right vision of who he is. Right? Like, he has to be worth it. And he is worth it. Like, that's what the truth of the Bible the truth of what we've had revealed to us in Jesus would say he is worth it.
True.
And if we don't think he's worth it, it's our vision of him is too small.
Yeah.
And so I think what I would keep coming back to is like, not, don't try to surrender out of your own willpower.
Yeah.
Don't try to surrender things out of your own strength, because you're just going to end up picking it back up, or wanting to, or living frustrated, living disappointed, rather than actually being like, no, in my life, I'm going to cultivate, I'm going to go after getting as true an image and understanding of who God is as I can, because the more I know him, the more I see him. Like, you think of Isaiah having that vision in the throne room, Isaiah chapter 6, and it's just like, woe is me, a sinner. Like, he gets this view then of himself. His lips are touched, right? His lips are touched. And he's atoned for, your sin is atoned for. And then it's like, okay, who's going to go for me? Here I am, send me. And he's going to go into a hostile environment. He's got a hard calling. But in that encounter with God, like in seeing God's like majesty and power and what that must have looked like, that's what sends him. And I think of that often, of like, okay, if I'm clinging to earthly stuff, I need another vision. I need to come back to like, I need a fear of the Lord. I need a vision of who you are, God, truly. And that then will just be like, surrender will be a natural response. Obviously there's the things too of like giving your life to Jesus, and actually giving your life to Jesus, and knowing like what you were talking about a minute ago there, where it's like people want to take the life he gives. But that's just, it's not the message of the gospel, is to take the life he gives and then live and then be your own king. It's just not the gospel. Like, the gospel is the gospel of the kingdom of the king. So there's an aspect of just acknowledging what your salvation means. Like, if you want to take hold of the life that he gives, it's you're saying you're king. Your
Lord.
You're king and you're Lord. And that's the journey the disciples go on, you know, come into that, like an imperfect journey that they go on with Jesus, where they're just realizing who he is and what that actually means for them. But then by their lives after his resurrection and after he went back to heaven, it's like they then went on to, like, most of them, nearly all of them, like, die for him. So they came to a knowledge of that being, of him being good enough and worthy enough that actually everything would be surrendered for the real gospel of who he was.
True. You know, and you spoke about Isaiah 6, and anytime I'm reading that part of the Bible, it starts from like, oh, in the year that King Uzziah died, Isaiah saw the Lord. I'm like, God, why did you have to wait for Uzziah to die for Isaiah? Because it was like, oh, Uzziah died, and Isaiah saw the Lord. I'm like, okay, what happened? Like, while Uzziah was probably alive, like, could it have been different?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I've just always kind of thought it was just giving us a really specific,
like
this is when it
but sometimes I just think about it, I'm like, okay,
that's an interesting
that's
thought.
like the way I just like, I'm like, okay, why was it this time?
It's like, a good date stamp though. It's like, boom, this is when it happened, because it's not at the start of the book, which is a funny structural feature of Isaiah.
It's good. So how would you also say people should handle grief and doubt? A lot of people would say they've been in seasons of waiting and expecting God to do something for them, or like, if you could use like a story or a time where you probably experienced this, and how did you pull yourself out of that, knowing that God is still faithful to do what he has said?
Well, gosh,
Sorry.
I mean, no, it's good. I think to relate it to something like Easter, because that actually is really helpful. I think in Easter we have Good Friday, we have a God who suffers. And that is the only kind of robust answer to a theology around suffering that I can find. You know, why we ask that question, you know, like, in our suffering, like, why is it happening? And in Jesus, why is it happening, or how could a good God allow it, right? But in Jesus, we see our good God suffering, which is so unique to the Christian story. And coming back to that place, it's like you can do all the circles around the problem of evil, but I have to land, and I can't really get past that question of like, okay, but can I trust a God who would suffer for me?
Yeah.
And it's as good a place I've found to land in seasons of suffering or in seasons of grief or loss or pain or disappointment. It's like, okay, on one hand, I hold the fact that my God, the God I worship, has suffered and knows suffering. And not to say all suffering in life is happening to us because it has some amazing purpose.
Yeah.
I think in a big picture sense, there's purpose in everything. But I don't think I would say that to someone necessarily going through something horrific. Oh, there's a purpose in your suffering. You know, it's like that's a hard line to walk.
Yeah.
But in Jesus' suffering, we do see purposeful suffering, and we do see like, you know, what was meant for evil turned for good, and that character of God, which I think is a really helpful one to apply to your suffering, even if you don't know where your sufferings come from or why you're suffering. Looking and being like, okay, but wait, I know a God who can turn what's meant for evil into good. So, okay, Lord, how will you be glorified in this? Or what good can you bring out of this suffering? I think I have found a more helpful question for me to ask in the less ideal moments of life or the things that have not turned out the way I've wanted. Like, what good can you bring out of this? And then I think also thinking of like Easter Saturday, like living in that space, I guess, in our lives where it's like, okay, the cross has happened. We've been promised that Jesus is coming back, but he's not come back yet. And we're all kind of living in this waiting moment. And then we all have things in our lives that we're just waiting on the Lord for. I think waiting is such a innate part of the human condition, right? Like everyone's waiting and it's just kind of maybe a matter of what people are waiting for. But even with that, it's like Easter Saturday shows us, okay, we're made to waiting with hope is so, I can't imagine what it was like that Easter Saturday before he'd risen from the dead, like when they thought he was gone. Yeah. And yet we don't have to live that way. Like, we live in light of like Revelation. We live in light of the hope that we have. Yeah. And the fact that, okay, he was raised from the dead. Like, he was faithful to do what he said. He had the power to do what he said he would do. And he loved us enough to do it. Yeah. And then, so can I apply like to my waiting or to my disappointment, can I apply, okay, the goodness of God to come and die for me, and also the power of God to fulfill everything he said he's going to do. And I have to live in the middle of those. I have to live in the tension. Yeah. But both these things are true. And so suffering is inevitable and we will suffer. Yeah. But to suffer in light of hope, to suffer with hope is so different. Like to suffer with hope is so different. And then to suffer knowing God understands suffering. Yeah. Is so different as well.
Yeah, I feel like even Abraham, in Abraham's story, like in Hebrews saying, who against all hope still believed in hope, like not considering like the deadness of his body or like the deadness of Sarah's womb. I'm like, God promised you a child at 75, still running through, you never had a child. It's like, oh boy, you're still having a child, but still like he thought, oh, it was probably through a guy trying to help God, but God is like, no, Sarah is actually going to have the child.
Yeah, and God, I think sometimes we can think God only became the God of resurrection when he raised Christ from the dead, but so many stories in the Old Testament of like barrenness, impossible children, just babies that should not have been born or existed, timelines all off, you know, like it just is not a limit to God. And that is one of the I'm forgetting the specific story. There's a story of, who is it? It's in Jesus' life. It's when someone comes to Jesus, and it's one of the stories of like, okay, they've I can't remember which one it is now, but it's one where like the timelines are all off, where like the person, it's like, don't bother the teacher, like they've actually died. Do you remember that story? Do you know that one where it's like someone comes to him and says, my son has died. Is it the son or a servant, or someone will be watching and they'll be like filling this in for us.
Oh yeah, is it the centurion or like?
No, it's not. It's not this, because the servant, Jairus' daughter. Yeah, because the centurion servant is the moment he speaks.
Then
Jairus' daughter is like, it should be impossible. Yeah, you know, and yet for Jesus, like God just simply does not work by our rules. Like he has always been the one who brings like impossible life.
Yeah, even Lazarus,
like such a good story of like, okay, this is who God is, this is what he does. Those stories of like these impossible children, these different things where it's like, if God has said it, if God's promised it, he can do it and he will do it. And I know in my own life there's things where it's like, knowing that God is a God of resurrection is essential for hope. Or even just when you looking at something in your life and just thinking, this feels completely barren and hopeless, and yet because I know who God is, I know he can bring life out of death, even, never mind out of nothing. So I can trust, even when it's hard, I've seen him do it. So I know this isn't too hard for him
to do.
It's not too hard for him to do. And actually it brings him greater glory. In all of those stories, it was like about Jesus. So many of things Jesus was doing, it's to reveal the glory, right? In the book of John, there's so much like about God's glory, Jesus revealing his glory. And sometimes I look at my life and I'm like, okay, Lord, like it's going to be really great when you reveal your glory by doing this in a way that only you could. But again, like you talked about trust earlier, it's also then that piece of like, but can we trust him? And can we wait? Because there's so many stories in the Bible where people jump the gun. Because they, like, in a very understandable way, start to freak out.
It's like, God, are you showing up or not?
And they're like, God's not doing it. So I'm going to take it into my own hands. And that's like such a test throughout Scripture, is like, and we just see it all around us. We see it all around us, like the real human test of like, can you keep trusting when it's past the time?
Can you
when
wait?
It feels like time's out? Can you wait? Or are you going to jump the gun? Are you going to like take it into your own hands? You're going to miss what God wants to actually do.
God, I'm sorry for every time I jump the gun.
We're going to wait. We're going to wait on him.
I have two more last questions for you. So being a pastor, you pastor like a young generation of guys. It's mixed, like you have the morning guys, the family guys, but the evening guys, we have like a lot of Gen Zs and things like that. So talking about the younger generation, what excites you the most? There was a time you preached a message about the church for the next generation.
So what excites me the most?
What excites you the most?
Ooh, what excites me the most? I think something that's excited me recently has been seeing young men returning to church, like an increase. Christianity, I don't know the statistics, but like the reputation, and I think based on fact, has been that it's been a women's religion. Like the stats are always more women than men in the church. And so I've been really excited to see men returning to the church, especially in this season, like even more dramatically than young women, because it feels like we've been praying for that. And we need both. We need men of God, we need women of God, we need the whole like family, the whole body. So I've been excited by that, and I think just excited by like, okay, the spiritual openness that there is. What would it look like? Like what is it going to look like to have these kind of conversations having conversations about Jesus with people who are spiritually open, rather than in my day, it was more, when I was at university or whatever, it was much more like atheism was the cool thing. And atheism was the done thing. And I see that being very different at the minute. And even when it comes to the Bible, I don't know, sometimes I'm like, are we just seeing in the zone that we're in? But what I see in our church is I see like a real like desire to meet God in his word. And I think I grew up with just quite a dry relationship with the Bible, and didn't love it in my early 20s. So to see young people like loving the Bible through their university years, I'm just like, oh, that's significant. And these guys, you think about like the impact of like really long marriages, right? Like some people get to be married for like 70 years and you're just like, wow, that's incredible. But I kind of think of them, I'm like, wow, if they get to like be in this covenant relationship with God in a really strong, robust way from maybe when they're 16 years old, they're going to have this like 80-year.
Yeah.
Not doing the maths. 80-year. They could have like an 80-year like marriage. You know, an 80-year time of life with Jesus. And that's just kind of class. Like they're not having. There's maybe, Lord willing, like just less of the like, oh, I need to go away and like sow all my wild oats and go a bit wild in university. I'm just like, no, just don't. Just
stay locked in.
Just lock in. Just lock in with the Lord and just like love Him and love people. And what I'm seeing is I'm seeing young people find real life in that. And the alternative for me of the kind of go out there and, you know, explore a wee bit and dabble a wee bit and have a foot in both camps, it didn't bring life. Yeah. You know, it just kind of crushed me on the inside. So to see seeing lots of them not doing that, I'm just like, yeah, this is good. Like just build those foundations and just love the Lord for 80 years.
Yeah. Oh, love the Lord your God with all your mind. So the last question, Laura, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Oh, drum rolls, guys. So if you were to preach the gospel to, like everything we've said has pointed us to the cross, like, and if someone watching this does not know Jesus or does not even know what Easter is, let's imagine this was Jesus on the street and a stranger was just like passing you. What would you say? What would be your last words?
Oh my gosh, too new. Sorry. That is a hard question, but that's a great question. Okay.
Yeah, just take your time.
How would I share
Jesus and just
share Jesus in light of Easter?
Yeah.
With someone that I just kind of meet out and about. I think I would lean into the okay, like, do you know the story of the cross?
Yeah.
Like, do you ever see a Christian wearing a cross necklace?
Yeah.
And I would talk about that being a symbol of death.
Yeah.
And the fact that Jesus came and He lived and not only like lived on earth and experienced humanity in the flesh, but like this cross reminds us that He died.
Yeah.
Like He was killed.
Yeah.
As like a kind of enemy of the state, like an enemy of the people, and yet we have this story where people kind of come to realize that He's an innocent man, and yet He's being put to death. And then I would talk about the kind of a little bit on the brutality of that, but probably wouldn't dwell on that a long time, but just kind of be like, okay, He died a really brutal death. He was actually like buried, and His friends and followers, like there's women left at the cross. His mother's at the cross, like they see Him die. There's a space in between, like a time in between, and then they go to the tomb and they find that He's not there. Yeah. And there is a realization, there's a light bulb moment for them of putting together some of the things that He'd said while He was alive. Yeah. And yet what then unfolds for these followers of Jesus is that they come to realize that He is really alive again. Like he's alive. They didn't steal His body. You know, it's like the systems of the time were robust enough. Like these guys did not steal His body, because also then we go on to see that they're gonna die for their faith in the fact that He was alive. So I think I would lean into like the Easter story as it is. These followers of Jesus who lived a life like compelled by what they'd seen, which was they'd seen Him risen from the dead. The fact that it's women and men, women in a time where their testimony would not have been trusted. A single testimony of a woman would not have been trusted. They're the last at the cross. They're the first at the tomb. This is wild and radical of that time. And then Jesus revealing Himself to people, showing that He's alive, people going on to die for this faith that they had in Him. And then I guess I would want to share then that a little personally of how coming to know the living Jesus has changed my life and impacted my life, and how knowing, okay, God has suffered helps me in my suffering, and knowing that God brings life out of dead things has helped me have hope for the future, and hope for now in terms of, okay, the darkness and the suffering in our world is so real, and yet God has overcome. Like, that's amazing. That's the hope that we need. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, that does. Thank you so much, Laura.
Yeah,
that was great. It was a
Tinu.
good chat. And thank you so much, guys, for joining us on this episode. It was great. And you guys can follow Laura on Instagram. If you have more questions, just send out like questions. She would reply.
Slide into the DMs.
Yeah, just do that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Laura.
Hey, thanks for having me.